So welcome to the kickoff organizing meeting for the 7th annual Basic Income Week of Action. This week will be, or the week of action will be on the 3rd week of September as it is, which will be the 15th to the 21st. First, before we kind of dig into all the things, I want to take a moment to acknowledge just the native legacy of the land we all occupy. Income Movement is located in Portland, Oregon, on the traditional village sites of the Clackamas, Cowlitz, the Cayuse, Umatilla, and Walla Walla tribes. Some of our team members are located in other locations in the U.S. If you haven't had a chance to kind of share the native land you're currently occupying in the chat, feel free to do that now. I will share this really great link where you can look up where your native land is and see kind of all the different tribes that overlap and learn more about them. Land acknowledgements are just kind of one small part of disrupting colonial structures. Action is the most important. And with that, I'll share the Native American Rights Fund. This is a organization that we can support. We can follow their work. And as we dig into our theme, let's also note that the technologies we use to meet online are not broadly available in many Native communities. And these technologies, and increasingly technologies like AI that we are all actively and passively using, are destructive to the earth and continue to disproportionately hurt communities that are historically marginalized in our country and beyond. So here we are at the 7th annual Basic Income Week of Action, and let's dig into this year's theme. So this year's theme, we're focusing on AI and AI's disruption. AI is hurting us in our communities right now. Most people are unaware of the current impact AI is having on job loss, tax revenue loss, air and land pollution, and water depletion. It's important that we educate to activate people of these tech giants that are responsible are kind of, betting on kind of our lack of engagement or lack of awareness, and even I think kind of like under promise or undersell like how disruptive it is. But we're already starting to see those effects in real ways and those harms. This year, we're excited to dig into this for our theme because we have the research and tools to get people engaged and take action. Income Movement has been joining the Kairos Fellowship Digital Power Collective, and they're focused on fighting data centers and have an amazing data center organizer guide. And we'll kind of dig into a little bit of what a data center is and why should communities kind of care and speak out about these. And I'll share that link in the chat. And then the other really critical piece that I think a lot of people are maybe more familiar with is the impact of AI on jobs and that kind of force of displacement. And the Gerald Huff Foundation Fund for Humanity, that is a Basic Income Week of Action sponsor and has been for every year, worked with the U.S. National Science Foundation to create a report about the impact of AI on workers in the U.S. And so let's kind of dig into why these things, why it's important. So it's to us all connected. AI and what fuels it threatens our society. With AI technology, AI is taking the jobs and income required for us to survive without a basic income in our society right now. We all depend on income and a job for us to survive and meet our basic needs and provide for our families, with job loss comes a loss of income taxes that's needed to fund schools, healthcare, and more. And then AI increases corporations their priority of profit and efficiency over employees and the common good. The kind of goal of just a company wanting to implement and use AI because it's faster, because it's easier than actually hiring a person and having that kind of human input. Is, leaving people behind, and it's also harming a lot of the things that we need in our everyday. And I even think, like, I think the most common experience of that is like when you're trying to talk to customer service and you're just faced with a bot. But we all know, like, we want to talk to a person. Um, and why we want to talk to that person has a lot of real, I think, even like human value of like the AI bot just kind of will spin you in circles or not understand. And everyone is just like, I want to speak to a person. Let me talk to a person. And then we've kind of included some like headlines because we're seeing this be raised in the news every day and more and more. And so this one is about it's AI is wrecking an already fragile job market for college graduates. With the kind of use of AI, it's replacing a lot of work that early college graduates kind of usually have their hands on as entry level, some junior level. And if that's being kind of just displaced by folks using AI, like for transcription, for editing, for assistance, then that's making it harder for college graduates to find a job. And then this other one that was in just yesterday, job losses across multiple sectors expected as AI transforms workplace, experts warn. And I saw something in the chat. Okay. And then Steve just noted in the chat, I read just yesterday that power hungry data centers are driving up electricity costs for households in their communities. And that's exactly the piece of data centers. Data centers are built to kind of help this AI technology run. AI technology runs and depends on data to learn from. And so as there's more and more AI development happening, they need these like huge buildings of warehouses that just collect the data and store it, and for the AI programs to continually use. And so these data centers are really harming our land and kind of our physical reality. The AI consumes our resources, clean drinking water, land, and electricity. Corporations are using taxpayer money to build these with no new data taxes created to kind of pay it back. And they harm humans, polluting the air, increasing drought, and speeding up climate change. Oh, I forgot. So the little quote in the AI technology area, this piece is from the impact of AI report. But so their main finding that's a real shocker is in less than 3 years, by 2028, approximately 25% of all jobs across all industries and occupations will be disrupted by AI. And then similarly for data centers, what we're seeing is it was this article I found called Powering the Era of AI by Goldman Sachs. They were talking about the industries racing to catch up with over 50 million square feet in planned developments, which is double the volume of 5 years ago. And like, why aren't we building that kind of development to house people, right? And below are then some headlines that we've seen of the AI explosion means millions are paying more for electricity. just what Steve was saying. And in Cheyenne, Wyoming, there's a massive data center that's using more electricity than all Wyoming homes combined. So as AI begins to displace and take our jobs, it's also taking all of the resources that we humans need to survive. And then this is our strategy for this year's Basic Income Week of Action, to educate and activate. So our kind of first part is helping our community members understand the direct impact AI is having both now and in the next 2 years, connecting them to info and tools to help them understand what this means for them and the people that they love. And then once they understand the dire nature of AI and that urgency, being able to share direct actions they can take today to require our leaders to hold AI companies to an ethical standard, so that we can ensure we all benefit from technological advancements. So I want to pause there, and I'll stop sharing my screen just so we can see each other and get kind of what your guys' thoughts are.
We'll spend some time and just after this really going into the details of like how we can support you in this, how, you know, what tools and resources we'll be providing for folks, and also the kinds of events or direct action you might host in your communities in order to do this kind of educate and activate piece. But we just wanted to pause here because we just threw a lot of information at you, and this might be a new theme for a lot of folks here. So giving space for us all to talk about it a little bit felt like an important piece. Steve, you raised your hand.
Yeah, so great theme. I'm really glad to see that second half. I was going to pop up and say something about that anyway. I mean, we're talking about the threat to jobs and the cost of it, everything, but you know, the benefits aren't very clear, at least the benefits to the average person. So far, I mean, I have friends that have used it. I haven't really done it, but the Chat GPT, I mean, it's a toy. It can be a tool. I'm sure it'll be a tremendous, I know professionals who have found it very helpful, those who still have jobs. But, you know, it just remains to be seen. And of course, the administration's approach is exactly the opposite of what I think they should be doing. Instead of coming out in the law, they were trying to say, we don't want any regulation. It should be exactly what you stated, which is let's make sure that whatever's done with it is actually helping the majority of us, so we're both protected from you know, being exploited and invasion of privacy and jobs and all that, but that, you know, we can actually share in some of the promised productivity gains. As far as I can tell, it's really just going to help the folks that are already, you know, swimming in cash.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's exactly right. In the, you know, the one big beautiful bill, yeah, they had included a a piece to prevent them from doing any regulation for 10 years. And what a lot of experts are kind of saying right now is this is a critical moment of AI technology. And so this attempt to just ban any kind of regulation is really letting it, the desire to just let them run with it, and we will be faced with the devastating aftermath. And thankfully that was removed from it. But yeah, the government right now is not taking, is kind of not at the federal level for sure, and a lot of local. I mean, with the data centers, like we need people to kind of like actually be like, hey, you haven't even spoken to the community about these things that you're just subsidizing to have these data centers built, or it's kind of running away from us, I think.
This is a really great theme for this year. I'm super excited about this. Lots of people are talking about AI, whether it's using ChatGPT or losing their jobs to it. And so I think this will be a awesome topic to engage in conversation, especially with people who haven't heard about basic income before, but have obviously heard about ChatGPT. So I'm really excited about this. Thank you guys.
Does anyone else have any thoughts they want to share?
I'm excited to get the information out there.
Okay, so here are the types of actions. So there's each year we kind of like to have a few ideas of events that can help kind of give organizers a direction and then a kind of scope of, okay, like what is this action going to be? Is this something that I want to do? Versus kind of leaving you all with just a super blank canvas. We find it kind of helps. And so these are three that we have thought of creative kind of different levels of engagement to help educate the community. So the first one is a citizens assembly, being able to kind of host an assembly, which is kind of a community gathering at any kind of event space that works for you, to bring community members together to raise awareness and start important dialogues. For me, for us, it's like, I think starting these important dialogues also means like asking a lot of questions as a facilitator and getting people to share their thoughts and ask questions of like, I didn't know about this, or can you explain some of these things, or someone saying, yeah, like I've been using ChatGPT and I wasn't aware, and someone being able and other people being able to kind of talk amongst each other, and then being able to share those resources after for people to kind of take away with. And I think through that, a lot that can really encourage the community to get involved and to also just see that other people are taking this seriously or are very engaged to take next steps. And then the second one is Main Street Conversations. And so this is kind of like canvassing and flyering in your local business areas. So spreading information about the dangers of AI to local businesses, passerbys, flyering around town. You can even, go to a few of your local favorite businesses. If you have a rapport with the owner or a favorite employee that works there, and you're like, I visit them every Saturday when I'm getting my coffee, and now I'm going to share this information with them. And then the last one is a kind of AI disruption rally. If want to kind of host a public event and bring a lot of community members in to then kind of make some noise, hold up some signs and kind of demonstrate to every kind of the rest of the public, people that are walking around doing shopping, what have you, and have some speakers that can kind of speak to this theme. I could imagine if you have like a data center happening and that's in development or just got built or maybe could be getting built, that a disruption rally could be really powerful, and also could gather a lot of like press interest also to kind of start that conversation. And then lastly, we just put like, if you have a different idea, go for it. These aren't the three that you have to do, and they're just suggestions. We know some folks, it helps them kind of have guiding events, but also if you suddenly get like a vision or you've had an idea for a kind of event, or you do something already in your community and have that cadence and you want to think about how to incorporate it, for the week of action. We'll be here to support you and love that kind of energy and initiative. I'm just checking the, oh.
And from a framing perspective here, as you guys are looking at this and thinking about it, Main Street Conversations is something that a single person could do, or a small group of folks could potentially do in your community. In particular, thinking about like storefronts or even like telephone poles where you can put flyers and posters up that will be created and sent to you, like printed for you. Those kind of leave behinds that you could potentially use, little quarter sheets at the that you could leave at your favorite cafe, on next to where people like put the lids onto their coffees or something like that. There might be a range of different ways that local community businesses like let people share information. So that's like a single person. The citizens assembly is like, maybe you have a group of people, or you have some folks who would like to invite some of their friends or some of their colleagues to come together. So that's like kind of a smaller or medium sized kind of gathering. It could be as small as like 5 people sitting together and like having some conversations, all the way up to 20, 30, 40 folks. And we find that like libraries and parks, there's a lot of community spaces that are readily available that actually are designed to support gatherings like this. And so we can share some of our kind of best practices around that. And then that rally piece is like, if you've done this before, if you have a active, thriving, kind of deep bed of partners, and you're like, we're going to go big and we're going to do something really important, because there's something happening in our state or in our city or related to this that feels really, really like a critical moment, then that rally might be the right thing for you. And on that different idea, if you have something different, we'll go through what we're gonna outline for you all from a resources perspective are things that are gonna support these 3 different types of events. And we can just work with you if you're doing something different to make sure that we're, as much as possible, thinking about how to support you with resources if for some reason what we're designing here doesn't quite fit the bill.
And then these are kind of our 3 like digital resources that we have that kind of ground us in each basic income week of action. And so I'll share our website, and this is kind of our public website where everyone can kind of find our different events. And then this map that you see with the kind of pins. So each year we use Action Network, which is a tool for people to host an event and for participants to be able to find, or people that want to RSVP to their event. And we find this just really powerful, so that way people can understand that this is like a across the nation collective action. And it's really exciting to then be able for folks to kind of like click on all the different pins and see what's happening. And then there's also kind of a search feature, so you can find an event near you. But as organizers, when you kind of host an event through Action Network, it creates kind of a little event portal for you to manage your RSVPs and to email them. And Action Network is what Income Movement uses as an organization through our newsletter and our community that has about 60,000 like activists or community members a part of that. And so one of the things that we also do is we help promote your event through Action Network, and are able to kind of target everyone that could be kind of in the range of your location of your event, and to be able to share that. And so digging into some of the Action Network, like how to of getting your event up on this map, we'll dig into our next organizer meeting, but we wanted to make sure you all know that there is kind of a software hub and a foundation for all of our different actions to live. And then the last tier is like a Google folder drive, which is what we use each year to kind of drop in all the different resources and templates that people can use. And then here are some more different ways that different kinds of support that you can count on with income movement. So we'll have 4 organizer meetings for starting after this one. Our organizer meetings will help folks if you have questions to kind of guide you through understanding some of these different resources that we have to kind of help problem solve any issues you might be having, and to also just stay connected in community and kind of go through our organizing journey together. I know for me, that's one of like my favorite things. I've always seen kind of how everyone's doing and hearing about the different events. And then with this theme this year, we'll have resource kind of toolkits for each event type. And so having kind of a one-pager of the Fund for Humanity Impact Report, a one-pager that you can hand out of the data center guide, and kind of so people can kind of take away those things to learn more about them. And then scripts and talking points as facilitators and organizers. We find these really helpful to just have all together. We don't want anyone to feel like they're on their own of trying to think of what to say, and how to kind of I'm blanking on the word, but to talk about it. And so a series of arguments and kind of lenses to understand the problem and the urgency. And because we know, like, when we're talking with people, it kind of depends on who you're talking to and which kind of audience and community members might find different ends to AI more convincing. And then for your events, we'll also include some like framing and engagement activities. If you're doing something like the Citizens Assembly, that might be like an activity that helps folks like engage in the conversation and the topic, creating something that's hands-on, or that it has a little bit of a structure, can really help people kind of open up and think through and think about things more than just kind of answering a single question or a few. And then we'll have signs, posters with QR codes, quarter sheets with QR codes and stickers. And then the last piece is a shared direct action for your communities so they can be part of the solution. We don't want these events to just kind of be like, sounding the alarm, but what do we do about it? And so one of the things we'll do next in this meeting is to brainstorm what some of these shared direct actions could be. So for this community kind of like brainstorm a direct action, as we're organizing our week of action together, we wanted to really open it up to brainstorm and think through what are the different things that we can do and the ways that we can have an impact through our events. And instead of, it doesn't have to be just like one thing that everyone does, especially since this is about raising awareness and spreading information to people and having kind of a heart to heart, or inspiring someone or meeting someone new. These kind of direct actions can have a lot of, it can be very, there can be a lot of variety in what kind of our impact looks like. And so we just put two different examples, delivering, like if you're doing the Main Street conversations, delivering posters to 3 of your favorite local businesses is a goal. Collecting signatures for a petition to your local city council, that's a goal.
So just for clarity, what we want to do is, this is direct actions that you can ask your community to take, right? So we would support you in spinning something up. So if it's delivering posters, you know, if we decide collectively that that's one of the direct actions that you want us to make sure that we support, then we would send lots of posters to you guys, because you're gonna be handing potentially multiple out to different folks at your you know, at your community assembly or when you're out and about having conversations with businesses. So we're probably only going to support 2, maybe 3 of these, just based on it. People like to have, sometimes you can actually confuse people with too many options. So right now, just like, what kinds of actions would you want to be able to imagine? You're having a conversation with your community in some capacity, and you want to be able to, somebody's like, okay, cool, what should I do about it? What do you want to be able to say to them to do? So we have like a couple things here just to start, but let's brainstorm. Anything that you could imagine you would want to have as an option or an opportunity for people to get activated in this.
I actually like all the options. I'm willing to pass out flyers or posters, but I was also thinking of like a small, intimate, like screening of. I was thinking the screening that we watched in Washington or Storming Caesar's Palace, with like a small little Q&A and handing them some information at the end.
I see in the chat, like that you all are already thinking of or have ideas. Carrie said, can we do postcards to representatives? Totally. Myra put in the chat, create a generic message that can be sent to local leaders and legislators from their constituents. Myra, when you say message, are you thinking like a letter that then like kind of like a letter writing campaign?
Yeah, usually that's what we do when we do legislative action here. We create one message, note, letter, paragraph, however, and then anyone who wants to send it to their legislators, we have it readily available. And this way they're flooded with this unanimous message from hundreds of people saying, don't do this or do this. So this way, because you know, not everyone wants to write, not everyone is a speaker. Some people just want to silently support.
Totally. Yeah, and Action Network has like tools to create like a letter writing campaign so that kind of anyone across the country can send, and it targets it to their local representatives, and you can kind of add that templatized that generic message that you're talking about. Yeah, Steve?
Yeah, I think these are great ideas. I just wanted to make a comment about the content. I think what I would suggest, and interested in your thoughts on this, is we really need to flip the script. I mean, I feel like we're being steamrolled. That this whole AI thing has been, oh, it's coming, and it's going to be great, and you know, like there's nothing we can or should, nothing to see here, you know, nothing to worry about. So, you know, I think instead of, we don't have to come out and say that we think the sky is going to fall, or that we can point to specific problems, so much as just say, basically, we have questions. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, if you ask the average person what they know about it, it's probably close to zero. And they don't know enough to be afraid. We can help them with that a little bit, but I think basically flip it around instead of assuming that, oh, we got this, it's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. Basically create doubt. I can say that, and another thing that, I've been sort of involved in, the politicians are really good at stopping initiatives that they don't like by doing that, by creating doubt. We don't even have a voter initiative in Virginia, but when the local city decided to use ranked choice voting, they didn't like it, and they basically went out and tried to prove that people didn't understand how it worked. Well, it really wasn't that complicated, but they tried to emphasize the that not everybody was completely comfortable with that. So, I mean, we can use that kind of strategy. That really the default ought to be that we don't do anything until the majority of people really understand what the impacts are and costs and benefits and so on and so forth. So I would just sort of go along the lines of, we have questions.
I really like that approach, Steve. I mean, I know like AI just in my day-to-day is just like in the past few months has just been completely infiltrated, where it's just like every single app, every single website you use like now has AI in it. And it's like, you want AI to do this, you want AI to do that. And I've even, I even saw like spell check is now being used with AI, which it's referencing other people's documents, which then, so, other people's documents and that data has errors in it. So like it switching its how spell check used to work to AI is making it actually not function as well as it would have, because it's referencing people that create documents that already have like grammar errors. And so it might suggest, um, like instead of, if you wrote like should have, instead of it normally understanding, oh, you want should have, it's like should of, and those kinds of things, that the AI just doesn't do well.
So I'll say this and then I have to jump off. I have to run to another meeting at another location. I had a conversation with someone on Sunday about AI, and they were super thrilled about AI. And I asked them, how did he feel about the fact that AI will possibly replace 41 plus million jobs? And he said, I'm excited about it. And I just couldn't believe that response, because I'm like, he's like, yeah, it's the same thing like it happened with the internet. People will have to evolve, people will have to be better. And then he's like, and you know what? AI is going to be able to solve the housing crisis, the homelessness crisis, and the food insecurity crisis. So he's really got all his hope in this machine. And I'm like, sir, do you realize that these are machines? They don't think like humans because they are not humans. They don't have the passion. They don't have the empathy. They don't have the emotions of a human. They're going to do it from the perspective of a robot. They're going to do it from the perspective of the machine, meaning it's not going to be done in a way where it's going to be caring and loving and from the heart. It's going to be from a machine that just, executes a straight line. See it. I said, if AI says, okay, the best way to do that is to get rid of the elderly population, what are we going to do? Are we going to get rid of the elderly population? What if they, like what? I'm not understanding what you're saying, but the thing is, we are losing humanity. Everything that we go through, all the hardships and all the things that we endure, it's making us lose faith and hope in humanity. And especially with this administration that we're dealing with now, it's literally like you're being looked at as weird if you still have a heart and compassion for humanity. And now they want to replace that with machines to say, see, you guys, machines can solve the problems for us. We have to remind them we are humans. We are humans. We are not machines. A machine can never be better than human. God's creation is perfect. When he created man, he said, it is good. meaning everything about us is good. We do not need machines to rule over us and to solve our problems. Can we use them to make things better and more efficient and faster and all of that great stuff? Of course. But to put it in as a dominating force where it will put 41 plus million people and their families that are attached to that into complete disarray, that is not humanity. That's something different, and that's something that scares me, especially when you see another human being going, oh, it's okay, I don't care. 41 million people, they'll bounce back. How? That's impossible. Even if basic income becomes a thing, 41 million people and their families, I don't it's a solution, but it's definitely not the complete answer. So in this campaign and what we're doing, we have to remind people of humanity. If that means digging back into history and reminding people how man created this and how we've gotten here and how we have evolved because of our humanity, we have to start reminding people that even in the midst of everything that's happening, because if we don't, they will put so much pressure on us as they're doing now to make us beg them for their solution. And right now their solution is a machine. So I just want it to be where we are, reminding people of being loving and compassionate and really reminding people of human, not just humanity, but the human touch, the need of having a village. If we get connected and we help one another, we can get through anything. History has shown that you can get through anything as long as you have connectivity in the village. But if we let machines come in and dictate how we live our lives, we're going to be in so much trouble.
And I think you're bringing up some good points, Myra. So I've been putting notes, a little SR, Chelsea can click on it so you can see just some of the notes that we're starting to pull together based on both what you're speaking to and some of what Steve was bringing up as well. I think that, the first part of what you were speaking to is really important, and for us to be thinking about the tools and resources that we provide, like kind of script or talking points. What is the response when you interact with somebody who's gung-ho on AI, like, and compares it to the Industrial Revolution or the kind of internet and .com space and some of those things, which is a pretty common place that people go to. They say like, oh, new jobs are going to arise, like we're just going to get new different kinds of jobs. And then we definitely have some really great counterpoints that you can speak to, and that you can share some data and resources for folks to just help them understand the complexities. Like it's a little bit, we're in a very different moment, and the speed at which we're moving is exponential and way faster than anything we've ever seen. And so being able to help you all have the tools to counter some of that, or at least try to connect with them, and have them understand a little bit of the complexities, feels like important. We're coming up close to the end of our hour together, and we now have 8 or so different ideas here. We talked about at the very beginning of this brainstorm piece that we would that we can likely support, create whatever is necessary, the mechanisms and tools and things to be able to support a couple of different direct actions. We're thinking that when we follow up with the email with this slide deck and some of the things, the links to some of the things that we've shared, we're also going to share this list and ask folks to vote on the 2 direct actions that feel most important or most exciting to you, that you'd like to be able to share with your community when you host and facilitate your event, so that we can just make sure that we're understanding where the energy and excitement is. Of course, if there's a different direct action you're interested in and you want to whip something up, and we can help you with the different tools and resources to be able to do some of that. But we just want to also make sure that we're as comprehensive as possible on at least a couple of these, so folks feel really really confident in whatever action they want to be able to invite people to take when they move past that kind of education piece and into the activation piece. Any last ideas here before we start? Chelsea takes us home and wrap up in next steps.
But yeah, I think this was a really great conversation, and really enjoyed hearing all of your guys' thoughts and kind of the ways you're thinking about this, and that it also is like, you know, showing up in also your worlds, that you're seeing this be a problem, and feel energized to kind of do an event for this week's or this basic income week of action around AI disruption. So I will send a follow-up, and this is recorded, so I'll share that as well. And our next meeting is then on the following Tuesday, which I think is the 12th. And in that one, we'll start to kind of dig into how to place kind of a event on the Action Network map. But what we'd really love when we come back together in 2 weeks is for folks to be able to have like a pretty solid, feel like they're in a solid place of what event they want to do. And
Maybe pull back up those three while you're.
yeah.
So your homework is to choose which of these, or if it's something new, cool. But in our next meeting, we want to get pins on maps and start understanding how many people are going to be doing which types of actions, so that we can start building out an order of prioritization, kind of some of the supporting tools and resources and things like that. So spending a little time talking with your community, with friends, partners, whoever it is that you want to invite to be part of this. Bring this slide deck and ask some questions, and hopefully land on what you want to be hosting.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.